The BioGuard Wet Lab is a complete water testing lab that fits right on your countertop. A full complement of water balance parameters can be tested with the Wet Lab, including chlorine, pH, total alkalinity, calcium hardness, copper, iron, and CYA. These test results can be entered into the Alex Water Analysis software to provide a complete look at the current conditions of the pool or spa. Alex will then make suggestions to improve water balance and correct any issues. Let's take a closer look at the tests. When testing for free chlorine, fill the small test vial to the line. Add 1 DPD No. 1 tablet. Invert the vial until the tablet dissolves completely. Once dissolved, compare the color of the sample with the color samples provided on the light box. Match the color to a reading for the chlorine level. If testing for bromine, the levels are in parentheses on the light box. Make sure the color comparison is done within 60 seconds of adding the DPD No. 1 tablet. If you want to test for total chlorine, simply use the DPD No. 4 tablet instead of the DPD No. 1 tablet. To test for pH, fill the large size test vial to the line. Add 1 drop of reagent number 4 to the sample. This is a chlorine neutralizer that will eliminate the effect of chlorine residual on the pH test. If the chlorine residual is greater than 3 ppm, add 2 drops to the sample. However, adding more than 2 drops will affect the pH reading and make it inaccurate for the sample. After adding reagent number 4, add 5 drops of reagent number 2. Cap the vial and invert to mix. Compare the color in the vial to the pH comparison chart on the light box to get the pH reading of the pool sample. Testing total alkalinity requires the use of the beaker instead of the test vial. Using the graduated cylinder, take a 100 ml sample and pour it into the beaker. Make sure the magnetic stir bar is in the beaker and that the magnetic stirrer is turned on. If the chlorine level is 3 ppm or less, add 1 squirt of total alkalinity reagent number 3. If the chlorine residual is above 3 ppm, add 2 squirts. Then add 1 squirt of total alkalinity reagent 1B, turning the sample to a yellow-orange color. Using the burette containing total alkalinity reagent number 2, top off the burette at 0. Add total alkalinity reagent number 2 from the burette until the color of the sample permanently changes from yellow-orange to a pinkish-orange color. The change is subtle, so pay close attention to the beaker and add the reagent slowly. To determine the total alkalinity reading, multiply the milliliters of reagent added from the burette by 10. This will give you the ppm of total alkalinity in the sample. Using the graduated cylinder, measure 100 ml of sample and add it to a testing beaker. Make sure the magnetic stir bar is in the beaker and the stir plate is turned on. Add 2 squirts of calcium reagent 1B, then add 2 calcium indicator tablets. The sample will turn a bright pink color. Using the burette containing calcium hardness reagent number 3, zero the reading in the burette. Then, add calcium hardness reagent number 3 to the sample, with the magnetic stirrer running until the color permanently changes from bright pink to dark blue or purple. Once the color change occurs, multiply the milliliters of reagent needed by 10 to get the parts per million of calcium hardness. To test for the presence of copper in the water sample, fill the large test vial to the line. Add 6 drops of the Rochelle salt solution. Then add 1 copper tablet. Cap the vial and invert to mix. After 30 seconds, compare the color to the copper standards found on the light box to get an accurate copper reading for the sample. To test for iron in the sample, fill the small test vial to the line. Add 3 drops of the iron reagent. Cap the vial and invert the sample to mix. After 30 seconds, compare the color to the iron standards found on the light box to get an accurate iron reading for the sample. To do the cyanuric acid test, fill the large test vial to the line. Add 2 drops of reagent number 4. Again, this will neutralize the effect of the chlorine residual on the sample. Add 1 cyanuric acid tablet to the sample. Using the CYA testing dipstick or the plastic rod included with the wet lab, crush the cyanuric acid tablet, then agitate the vial to ensure dissolution. Allow the sample to sit for a maximum of 5 minutes. Looking into the vial, slowly lower the dipstick until the black dot disappears completely. When it disappears, hold the stick in place and read the parts per million of cyanuric acid on the dipstick, using the top fill line of the vial as a guide.